What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So in this video we're talking about 7 very specific fragrances. These are very green dominant. Some have green spices, green herbs, citruses, different things, fruits and woods, of course, as in most fragrances, but these tend to lean a bit more on the greener side. Some green fragrances are a bit fresher and work better in the spring. Some have a bit more density and I find work better in the fall. These 7 in particular I think are fantastic for the fall, both daytime and in the evenings. If this is your style, I think you're bound to find something that may interest you and might be worth checking out. So we've got 7. Let's talk about them. Stay tuned. Starting with one that just doesn't get any love. It's a bona fide, affordable, cheap fragrance at this point. I bought it when it launched back in 2020, I want to say this launched. And kind of a revamping of a classic, more of a modern twist on it. We are talking about Polo Cologne Intense Eau de Parfum. What a terrible name. What a terrible name, because it is not an intense eau de parfum. What it is a fresh, modern, synthetic take on the classic Polo Green. You don't have the heavy tobacco, but you still get a lot of green tones. And instead of being piney green, this is more of a fresh green, cypress meets citrus and violet leaf and broxen type of thing going on. Clean musk, soft woods. It's actually quite nice. I think the naming and the marketing for it kind of threw things off for people, but those that have given it a chance, for the majority, seem to agree. It's a pretty nice fragrance, especially now that you can get bottles like this in the $40 range. I don't want to say it's a no-brainer, but it's a really good option as a daily wear for a modern interpretation of what Polo Green would be in today's market. This is, if it was a brand new fragrance, I think Polo Green would be something like this, you know. Doesn't smell really anything like the classic that they were going for, but it does smell like a great fragrance if you look at it as a standalone. It's fresh, it's green, it's nice and woodsy. It's a great everyday wear for somebody who likes the style. And decent performance, not an intense eau de parfum worthy name when it comes to performance, but around 6 hours is what I get from it. And it's Ralph Lauren's Polo Cologne Intense. Tomato leaf, green spices, and woods is the main things I get from this. This one kind of falls in that 6 to 8 hour range in longevity. Some would argue dark horse of the line. I think that's kind of how I feel about it. Not so because it doesn't get enough love, because I don't know, it just kind of flies under the radar. It's the newest before the newest in the Brioni line. We're talking about Brioni Eau de Parfum Essentiel. Green bottle, green profile. Again, I believe it's cardamom is the spice here. Tomato leaf gives it this fresh tone to it without being some citrus heavy fragrance. You still manage to get a lot of freshness. It's a bit aromatic without being all that soapy. I mean, I don't really get a soapy accord from this one. Another, you know, relatively masculine, great daytime, professional, business-oriented fragrance that I think doubles as a decent casual fragrance. I don't think it's the best tank top wear out there, but as far as a t-shirt, a v-neck, anything like that, on up to an Oxford, I think this works in daily wear situations, both in and out of the office, depending on where you work. Again, this could be daily driver if you like the style of the more green and woodsy fragrances. Quality here is decent. It's not as synthetic as something like the Eclat Flanker that's got a bunch of ambroxan and a synthetic musk and stuff like that. While this isn't some supernatural smelling fragrance, it is really damn good if you want a green fragrance with a twist. And by twist, I mean some elements that aren't often used to create a nice fresh green accord. Again, that's Brioni Eau de Parfum Essentiel. Speaking of unnatural smelling fragrances, do you like metallic and green? How about we throw a little bit of earthy oak moss in there to really give it some density and some body? Well, that's exactly what they did with the H24 line with H24 Eau de Parfum from Hermes. This is actually quite good. A lot of people's favorite because it takes everything from the EDT, that green citrus peel type of smell, metallic, a little bit musky and woodsy, and it adds a very noticeable mossy note that gives it this earthy green tone. Doesn't spice things up a whole lot, but it does add a little bit to it. Makes it a much more woodsy as well. The oak moss they use in here adds a prominent woody accord. It's almost like when you smell this versus the EDT, it's like the EDT was an incomplete fragrance, and this is what the full version of it would be. Does that make sense? Some of you that have tried both or have both, I think, could kind of walk my thought process with me here and probably come to an agreement that when you smell between the two, it's like, oh, this is what was missing from it. Though I quite love the EDT. When you smell the EDP, it's like, that seems like what they should have did. Right? It does make it a little bit heavier, though, which works in the favor of those milder days in the fall. Another one that can be a great professional wear, but has more of a slight mysterious tone to it. It's obviously a much more chypre dominant type of profile, being featured around oak moss and plenty of it. So if you're not a fan of oak moss, you might want to steer clear of this one. But if you do like a good mossy scent with some modern synthetics that give it kind of that metallic tone I was speaking on, and some really good performance, we're talking 8 hours easy here, you might want to look into this one. It's Hermes H24 Eau de Parfum. Now, speaking on cardamom earlier, this one's got a prominent cardamom. Not really all that minty fresh, but it does kind of give a little bit of a fresh spice, more so than a warm spice. It has that green bitterness to it. You have, I believe, some junipers, one of the aromatics here. Nice woody backbone. This is a great fragrance from Lacoste. This is Match Point Eau de Parfum. It has a darker green tone to it, just like the bottle would indicate when you look at the previous versions, the EDT or the Cologne flanker. Definitely the heaviest and most fall forward of the profiles. This is another one, great everyday wear. I can't see too many people not liking this fragrance. And the crazy thing is, not too many people are going to give this one a shot, because this is the kind of release that just falls under the radar. You hear me say that about a lot of fragrances, because we get so many fragrance releases and it's hard to keep up, especially if you're not just actively trying to sample something every single day, because it's not wise to just blind buy everything that you seem to be a little interested in. I try to blind buy so you don't have to. This was a blind buy. This was my first in the line. I've since tried the Cologne flanker, which is nice, but I don't think is near as good as this one. And, it's hard to judge the EDT without smelling it, but I'm willing to bet it's probably not as good as this one either, because this one has that nice woody green density that I was looking for, that makes it a very season-specific fragrance to me. I think it works fine in the spring. Sure, you can pull it off in the winter, but it's a little on the heavier side, so it's a little much for high heat and humidity. But for the autumn season, day and night, this could be that one fragrance for you. It really can. This is a great addition to anyone's wardrobe, let alone collection. Lacoste Match Point Eau de Parfum. Now, we have another offering from Ralph Lauren. I picked this one up from Ross Dress for Less for $50 recently, and I never tried the original. But I'm very impressed by this flanker from Ralph Lauren in the Polo Earth line. This is Antilles Vetiver. So, as you would think with Vetiver, it's going to be a more woodsy fragrance, but at the same time, it's got a creamy, musky tone to it, bright citruses, some other fresh green herbal elements to it. It's a very classic style to masculine citrus aromatics. I would classify it more as a citrus aromatic than anything like aromatic fougere or anything. It's not really a coumarin fragrance. But the quality here is fantastic. I believe it says on the ingredients, 97% natural origin ingredients. So not completely natural, not all of, when it says natural origin, that doesn't mean 97% of it's completely natural oils. Natural origin adds a specificity to it. But this is actually really damn good. Performance is actually pretty solid. 6-7 hours range. Quality, everyday masculine wear for those that don't want the modern synthetics, the sweet designers. You want that timeless style just done of really good quality. A great blend with some quality ingredients. Man, this is good stuff. That's kind of going rate online from what I've seen, is kind of in that $50, $60 range, but check your Ross Dress for Lesses. That's where I found my bottle. It was $49.99. Great pickup for me. Might be a great pickup for you. It's great for the season. It's Polo Earth Antilles Vetiver. Let's freshen things up a little bit, okay? This a bit more dense than the original. This is an extreme flanker. It's appropriately named. It's I think intense would be an even better name, because it does intensify the original's profile. Adds a lot more green elements to it. This is a super green, fresh fragrance that's got some really good staying power. It's Bvlgari Pour Homme Extreme. I got this one at the beginning of the year, and milder days in the spring and especially fall days, this is fantastic. We're actually gonna give this one a little spritz on the hand because I'm eager to smell this one. I'm a fan. There it is. So zesty and green. There's citruses, but there's green, fresh greens, spicy greens, woody greens. Green, green, green is the moral of this story. Clean and musky, a little watery. The original smells kind of like a slightly greener take on Mont Blanc Starwalker, or Versace Mano Fresh, if you will, more like Star Walker because that's got some green elements to it. But add more to that, you get Bvlgari Pour Homme. Add even more, you get Bvlgari Pour Homme Extreme. And another one, 6 to 8 hour range in longevity. Very, very bright and loud fragrance for the first hour to 2 hours. So you can choke yourself out with this one if you wanted the heavy spray type. So be mindful of that. But a classic style done to the extreme as named. So definitely a good one. It's Bvlgari Pour Homme Extreme. And last but not least, this is a bona fide cheapie. The original in this line is one of the best blues. And I think its flanker is one of the better greens in the, $30 to $40 range. Pretty hard to beat. Rochas Aromatic Touch. Just like the bottle is green, so is the scent profile. And it's a little earthy, slightly bitter, a touch of spice, still very aromatic as the name indicates. It does have a few aromatic notes in the top. Adds some brightness, doesn't really add too much of a soapy feel to it. Definitely has an airiness while still being quite dense. Again, there's fresh greens, but I would say overall, especially as it dries, you get this earthy green woody tone. A bit heavier of a fragrance. This is one that I think doubles well into the winter when the weather continues to get even colder. But on fall season, especially deeper into the fall as the temperature continues to drop, the leaves continue to fall, this is the profile. It matches that part of the season, especially into the evenings. If you like the earthy fragrances but don't want anything really challenging, something highly wearable, but again, still offers that semi-dirty, earthy feel to it that some just crave in their fragrances. This will give you that without that real challenge of some of the higher quality niche fragrances out there that are super earthy. This is very approachable. Could kind of dip your toe into some mild earthiness, if you will. Another one, great performer too, 6 to 8 hours easy, more so on that 8 hour range. Again, that's Rochas Aromatic Touch. Well, that's the 7 that I have for you today. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, because I do appreciate all the feedback. I love hearing from you guys. What's some of your favorites as far as green dominant fragrances to wear this time of year? Definitely comment down below. I'll try to have links to everything in the video description. And appreciate you guys checking it out. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe before you leave. I'll catch you on the next one.